guys, as we wait on my hair to finish, doing what it does, the third time is gonna be how I lost my B card. Since it happened a long time ago, like into now, like no way. So, do I care? No, not really. Okay, so where do I begin? Because honestly, okay, so look, this is how it all started, y'all. It all started with the app called Snapchat. And it's so funny because this is the same app I met my baby daddy on. Basically, I was on the app, I remember I was doing a video, and remind y'all guys, back then I would just add people just to add them, just to like pick up my fan base and be like, hey, when I promote my video, they go check it out, and that's more views for me. Anyways, so that's why, I would add people. In case you're wondering, like, well, how did y'all end up, like following each other, like you don't even know this person. See, that was my thing. I wouldn't know people on there, but I'll be like, add, Okay, so mind y'all, we had each other at it about like a while now, okay? But the thing is, I wouldn't really post on Snapchat. Like, it was once every blue moon that I will post. So yeah, okay, so basically this day if I have the video, I will insert it. On the video he slid up on, and he was like, oh, like, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing, just at home. Y'all, why the fuck did I have the habit on answering people I did not know just to become cool with them? Like, oh, we could become friends. Like, ma'am, you don't even know them. Like, slow the fuck down. Anyways, so I was just like, nothing, I'm just here at home. And he was like, oh, let's meet up. And then I was like, well, all right, bitch. You don't even know him. Like, bro, you don't even know him. And I knew it was a guy because it had like the the guy avatar, right? Okay, so I knew it was a guy. Did I know his age? No. Did I know his race? No. No, I did not know nothing about that guy. And I know you're gonna be like, bitch, you y'all. Okay, so anyways, I was just like, yeah, I'm down. And he was just like, oh, do you drink? And I was like, yeah, I drink. At that time, bro, I used to drink so fucking heavy because little situationship where it was like back and forth. But I loved him so much, y'all, and I still do. Like, I have respect for him and all that. So I was just going through one of them breakups, right? Okay. And then just like, yeah, I drink. At this time I used to drink heavy. Every weekend you will see a bottle in my hand. So I was just like, yeah. And he was like, oh, so what do you drink? And I was like, oh, I drink Smirnoffs. Not shouting out anybody, not sponsoring. No, we're not doing that over here. So I was just like, oh, I drink Smirnoffs. And he was like, all right, well, I'll go to the store and buy some so we could drink. And I was like, all right, that's cool, but where are we gonna chill at? And he was like, oh, we could chill at a park if you want. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, the fuck, what? So I was just like, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, wait, but how old are you? And he was like, how old are you? Y'all, I should have took that as the fucking first red flag, because why are you answering with a question? Like, just answer my question. And then I was like, oh, I'm 17. Wait, was I 17? No, I was not 17. I was 16-year-old. I was 16, y'all. No, I'm kidding. No, but I was 16. I was in the middle of being 16. In the middle. The fuck? As in, like, I didn't just turn 16, but I was about to turn 17. Okay. So No, was it? No, y'all. I'm lying. I had just turned 16. Okay? Because I remember, like, I think it was before the weekend of my party when I had turned 16. Okay? But I don't know. I'll check the date and I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. So I was like, oh, I'm 16. And he was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm 19. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, that's not too bad. Guys, and the age number was, I didn't care about that. Like, bro, we're just hanging out. Does it really matter? So he was like, all right, you know, just let me know when you get in. And I was like, oh, I'm ready whenever you're ready. And he was like, okay, we'll drop the address. Y'all, why the fuck did I give him my address? Like, my full address. He could have kidnapped me. Let me stop, bro, because no, this is not funny. Like, this is to spread awareness, y'all, because it's scary out there. Like, I know, like, there's some dumb people like me that be like, oh, you know, like, damn, I just want to make friends. Like, what's the worst that can happen? No, y'all, like, I kid you not, it's so scary nowadays because you never know. Like, guys, don't take advice. Like, don't take advice from me. Like, I'm dumb as I just hear my what's it called, my lover, like, you're a hypocrite, stop, dang, y'all, he would tell me that all the time. Anyways, so I was like, all right, and he was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm 15. And I was like, damn. And you know when you get that stomach, bro, I'm feeling that feeling right now. You know when you get that stomach feeling where it's like, bro, like, you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing and you're at a place you're not supposed to be at. And it was like that type of situation. I was like, bro, like, my parents don't even know this person, I don't know this person, but I'm just like, fuck it, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, he pulls up in a white car, not a car, a truck, in a white truck. And I was just like, oh, you know, where you at? And I texted him, I was like, oh. And then he was like, I'm right in front of your house. And I was like, okay. So, yo, I'm nervous as shit, fam. Because why was I that excited to say that? No, but I'm not even kidding. It's just like the feelings are coming back. And not because, no, not any of those type of feelings. But the, like, the anxiety feeling, you know, the unsettling feeling in your stomach. Yeah, those feelings are coming back. Not talking about the story. I was just like, bro, I was so nervous. And so I hop in the car, right? And I'm just like, you know, fidgeting with my fingers. And then he's like, hi. And I was like, hey. Y'all, I don't know why when I'm shy, but I don't know, like, it's like I get all like shy and everything, and you start kind of like a little blushing, not because they're cute or anything, but because you're shy. So I look at him and I remember, like, not thinking like, bro, this man does not look 19, bro, because I didn't know how a 19-year-old would look. The fuck? Like, how can you tell? Because I'm 21. Like, can you tell I'm 21? Like, a lot of people be coming up to me saying like, oh, how old are you? And I'm just like, oh, I'm 21. And they'd be like, no, you're not. Don't even lie. How old are you? And I'm just like, I'm 21. And they're like, nah. And I'm just like, bro, I'm 21. How the fuck you finna tell me how old I am? And they'll be like, bro, you look so much younger. And I'm, y'all, like, I don't know. I can't. How am I supposed to know he's 30? Y'all, I don't even know his real age at this point. But hold on. Okay. So anyways, we hop in the car. I hop in the car, right? And he starts driving. And he's like, y'all wouldn't know because y'all not from this area. But he starts driving, right? And I'm just like looking out the window, you know, and he's trying to make like small talk. And he's like, oh, so, you know, what are you doing on that app? And I'm just like, posting videos, the fuck. So he was just like basically trying to make small talk, all right? And then he was like, so do you want to stop by the store and get them? And I was like, I can't get them, like, I'm only 16. And he's like, oh, okay, well then I'll get off. Why did it not click in my mind like, hey, you know, he's 19, how the fuck is he finna buy beer? You have to be 21 to buy beer. But no, he got off the store and you know, he went to go buy what he was gonna buy, and he came back, and then we went to, I remember it was Bombing Lake. Yes, we were in Bombing Lake, and he parked like not towards the lake, but towards like a building, so like I guess nobody could see inside the vehicle. Anyways, so y'all, and I know how the story might sound, but I'll just tell y'all because y'all don't know this person, no way, so y'all not gonna find him. And yeah, I don't follow this person. So so he like parks like, you know, like facing the building or whatever, so people won't see us. Okay. And his windows were tinted. Okay, mind y'all, I didn't think about nothing of this. I didn't be like, oh, you know, like, cause what? Anyways, so he was like, oh, drink one, and I was like, I'll drink one in a bit. So he was like, drink one, and I was like, no, I'm okay. You know, I don't really feel like drinking. And y'all, I said that because I had this like gut feeling that I was in a spot I was not supposed to be in. I was not supposed to be there, and I felt like this gut feeling, I was gonna get caught. And I don't know what I was gonna get caught in if I wasn't really doing nothing bad. I was just hanging out with a friend that I never met. Okay, so I was like, and he was like, oh, you know, why are you acting like that? Because I was kind of like standing, like kind of like acting standoffish, you know, like where you're just like, you know, I don't really want to be here, you know, type of thing. And that's how I was kind of feeling, because bro, my family walks around that park. So I was like, bro, like they see me, it's done for. I'm gonna get grounded. I'm never gonna be outside again. So yeah. And what's it called? And he was like, you know, what's wrong? And I was like, no, nothing, you know, it's just that my family be over here at this park, that's why. And he's like, oh, they won't see us. I know. Do not notice your tent windows, honey. They 5%. They're 5%. Back then I didn't know, but now I know. Now that I have my own vehicle, and yeah. Anyways, so he was just like, y'all. He was like, drink one. So I pop one open, because at this point he's like kind of like, oh, you know, like drink one. Like what's the hold up? Drink one. And I'm just like, okay. Like I pop one open, and I take a sip, and then I put it back in the cup holder. Okay. So it's me, the console, which is like the little thing that you put your cups in, and then like where he's sitting at. Okay. I kid you not, this man puts his hand on my knee. Okay. When this man does that, I'm just like, yo, I don't say nothing because my mind goes blank. My mind goes blank, and he's like, come here. And I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, take me back home. he's like, come here. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, like get closer. And I'm just like, okay, you know. So I scoot a little bit closer. Okay, remember, console in the middle. Okay. And he kind of like, he has his hand on my knee. Okay, so this is my leg and this is my knee. So he has it like that, right? And then he starts like going like that, right? And I'm just like, and I kind of like close my legs a little, like put in pressure so it doesn't go up farther. Okay. So he was like, give me a kiss. And I was like, what? Yo, I don't know why, but I would have this habit on like saying like, what do you mean? Even though I know what you mean, but I'm just like kind of like flabbergasted because you're asking me to do something, you know? So I'm just like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, I'm like, come here. So he grabs my face, y'all. Man, why the fuck you have your hand on my face? Get off of me. Y'all, I kid y'all not. The second, like, bro, the first second he laid his hand on my knee, it's like, how do I say, like when your body tenses up and you know you get chills all over your body. It made, you know, bumps go everywhere. Anyways, so he was like, oh, you know, like come here, get a little closer. And I was like, you know, and I nervous laugh because I'm so like, I'm trying to grasp what's happening, but it's not really like fully like, you know. And no, it wasn't my first time being kissed. No, it wasn't, you know, like I did things with my first love. Okay, let's just keep that at that. Y'all, tell me why I leaned over and I gave him a kiss. Like he wanted a kiss. Like me thinking, okay, there. I did not know him, and I was like in a comfortable, like uncomfortable situation because I was like, bro, like I'm in his car. Who knows the fuck? Just give him a fucking kiss. And I gave him a kiss, right? And it wasn't like that pet kiss. It was like that full-blown making out kiss. Y'all, I was at this stage where I didn't really know how to make out yet, but I knew how to give a kiss. If you know what I mean. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I would try to like not with this person, not with this person that I'm telling the story about, but I'm saying like with my first love, like I would try, and it was like I didn't know how to move my lips or my mouth, okay? But you know, we would try anyways because he was more experienced than I was, okay? So I'm like, so when he does that, because I'm like going for a kiss, right? And then when he like tries to like slide his his like, you know, tongue is on my mouth. I was just like, I kind of like back in him, and I'm just like, oh, I don't really know how to kiss like that. Like, don't try to kiss me like that because I don't know how to do it. And then he was like, what do you mean? You've never been kissed before? And I was like, I've been kissed before, but I just don't know how to, like, I don't know how to make out. And he was like, have you ever done nothing? Have you ever done anything before? And I was like, what do you mean? Sir, what? And he was like, yeah, have you ever done anything before? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, so you lost your virginity already? And I was like, no. And he was like, do you want to go somewhere? And I was like, where? Where? And he didn't want to tell me. And he was just like, oh, let's just like go to like a hotel. And I was like, oh, you know, for what? Like, who's at the hotel? Like, And he was like, no, so we could just like chill there. And I was like, well, we're chilling right here. Like, why can't we just stay here? And he was like, because it's just better at a hotel. And I was like, I guess. Y'all, I don't know why the fuck I was so dumb. I don't know why the fuck I was so dumb back then. I literally thought this man wanted to chill at a hotel. Yeah. So anyways, I'm just like, you know, sure, like I was like, you know, okay, you know, we could go and we could chill over there because maybe this spot is not a good spot because I don't want any of my family members to catch me doing nothing but drinking. But either way, like, they're gonna be like, bro, who is this man, right? And I was just like, all right, you know, like, we could go, I guess. And then he was like, we could just drink and we could just chill. And I was like, all right, you know, that's fine. And he was like, but I need to stop somewhere. And I was like, where? And he was like, at it was like a CVS or Walgreens over by there. And I was like, okay. He was like, I'll be back. And he comes back, so we're driving to the hotel now, right? He was like, don't act weird. And I was like, what does he mean by don't act weird? Like, how the fuck do you want me to act? Goofy? I'm at your hotel. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck do you mean? And he was just like, you know, don't like, bro, like, don't act your age. What? How? What? Sir, what you're saying, does it make any sense to you? Be for real. Yo, look, some came out. That's fine. And I kind of look cute. Anyways. So I was like, what? Like, bro, he was just like, don't look the opposite fucking way. Like, just turn around. Like, when I go up there, like, don't even look at the people. And I was like, okay, you know, he's acting weird at this point. Like, what? But I didn't question it, right? So he gets the thing or whatever. So we go up, you know, we get on the elevator, we go up, right? Okay, he opens the door and whatever, right? And I sit on the edge of the bed because I'm just like, he didn't bring up the beers. So what am I supposed to do? So he's like, come over here. And so at this point, like, cause he was like kind of like sitting at a table, like a normal table with 2 chairs. And the room was dark, right? Okay, kind of dark, because it was still a little sunlight coming in. Okay, so I was just like, he was like, why are you sitting over there? Like, come over here. And I'm just like, okay. And then so I sit in my own chair, right? And he was like, why are you sitting all the way over there? And I'm just like, oh, well, where the fuck else am I supposed to sit, sir? There's only 2 chairs. You're sitting on one and I'm sitting on the other. And he was like, come closer over here. And I was like, you know, where are the drinks? And he was like, oh, let me go downstairs to go get them. He's like, but don't go nowhere. I was like, okay. So I'm literally sitting on the chair and I'm waiting for him. And I'm just like, bro. And I was like, bro, like, fuck. I was like, fuck, I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm gonna get in trouble. And I kept on glancing at my phone because I'm just like, bro, my mom's gonna call anytime now. She's gonna be like, where the fuck are you at? And all this, right? And I was like, but no, not really, because they know I'd be at the park with my friends. Guys, at that time, I was at the park every weekend with my friends, every day probably. And so I was just sitting there and I was just like, bro, I remember being so nervous, bro, because I was just like, bro, I'm at this place and I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be at the park. That's where my parents think I am, and I'm over here. And I don't know, I just had this like feeling like this, you know, your stomach rumbling type of feeling, but you're not hungry, but and you don't have to take it, you know, but it's just like the nervous feeling, like, okay. He came back with the beers, right? I popped another one open because the one I popped open earlier, he left in the car. So I popped one open, right? And I kind of like start chugging it because I'm just like, okay, you know, I don't know. And then I start asking him questions, and I'm just like, so, what do you do? Like, and he's like, I work for myself. And then I'm just like, oh, like doing what? And then he's like, I can't tell you. And I'm just like, but why? And so basically it was just like an awkward conversation, but it was a conversation. I don't even know why I kept on like pushing for more questions when the man didn't even want to tell me his name. But on the app it said like blah blah, you know? So I was like, okay, you know, blah blah is his name, duh. He was like, you know, come over here. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And so, bro, he gets up and he gets right in front of me, right? So I'm sitting down, he's standing right in front of me, and he's like, get up. And I'm just like, okay. So I get up, right? Y'all, tell me why this man tell me why this man picks me up. He picks me up. So basically, hold on. So I'm just standing up to give y'all like an illustration. So I was, you know, standing up, right? Oh damn. And he picks me up, as in like, you know, my legs like wrap around his waist type stuff, right? And then he's like, he starts walking to the bed. And I'm just like, bro, at this point, I'm nervous as shit. Bro, I'm not kidding. I'm so nervous that I'm kind of like, I kind of freeze. I freeze because you know how when you're so starstruck, you're just like you don't even know what to think and you don't even know how to react. That was the type of stage I was in, okay? And remind y'all guys, bro, when he was starting to lay me on the bed, I was like, no. No. But the thing is that I wouldn't even tell him nothing. Like, I wouldn't tell him like, oh, no, you know, no. I wouldn't tell him anything. That's how starstruck I was, y'all. I was like kind of like in a stage where I was like, is this really happening? And Y'all, I know I'm not that dumb. I know what this man wanted as soon as he laid me down on that bed. But in my head, I was just like, bro, I'm on my monthly cycle. Like, no, that's so embarrassing. No, like, I do not want to do it. So I told him, I was like, I'm on my period. And he didn't say nothing. He was like, that's fine. And in my head, I was like, bro, like, that's disgusting. Like, no, sir, take it as a sign that I do not want to do nothing. So he was like, that's fine. And I was like, no, like, it's gonna be a disaster. Like, well, I don't tell him no, but I'm just like, I'm on my monthly cycle, sir. I'm on my like monthly, and I guess he didn't believe me because he didn't care what I said. Like, he pulled them down. Y'all, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed for the fact because I'm just like, bro, this man just saw my pad, and this man is gonna like, no, like, guys, this day was not supposed to be this day, okay? And because I just wasn't ready, y'all. I was not ready. And obviously, so when he does that, I kind of like go under the sheets because, bro, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I'm so like, oh, like, bro, I'm so literally, like, I have that sheet like right here, like, and I'm just like looking at him. I know I probably like a little girl, like, but y'all, no, like, this man just saw my, and it was laying down, no, and then I was bleeding, and so he starts like taking off his stuff, right? And I don't remember if it was everything or was it just, the pants. And I remember he sits on the bed, right? So I'm under the sheets and I have it like this. And and he sits on the side of the bed. And then he looks at me, and then he looks at the TV, and then he looks at me, and then he looks at the TV, and in my head I'm just like, bro. Yo, my mind goes blank. I do not even know what to think. I do not even know what to say because So he gets under the sheets, right? He pulls the sheets, he untucks the sheet, and he gets under the sheets, right? And he kind of like hovers over me, right? And in my head, I was like, I'm done for. I'm done for. And in my head, I was like, bro, it's gonna hurt so bad. It's gonna hurt so bad. Never did I think, like, bro, you're on your period, so it's not gonna hurt. But anyways, so I was like, fuck, what do I do? Yo, at that point, it was already too late. It was already too late. I didn't call my mom when he went downstairs because I was like, bro, I'm gonna get in trouble if I tell my mom to come pick me up. She's gonna be like, what the fuck? So I was just like, bro, no, let me just spare me getting in trouble and just, drink with the man. Like, I don't know. I'm telling y'all, I had this unsettling feeling that I was like, bro, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. And so anyways, so he hovers over me, right? And he does what it do. I guess he positions it or whatever, and it goes in. And I don't remember like making any noise or anything. I don't know if it hurt it or not. I really don't remember, y'all. I guess because I was such in that stage where I was like, is this really happening? Like, is this really happening? Is this really how I lose my V card? Bro, it felt like, I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't feel like what I thought it would feel. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it's because I was on my period or something, but he was like, he didn't say nothing until after, but it's just like, I don't remember it like lasting long at all, like a minute or two, not even a minute, to be honest. Like, I feel like it was seconds, but then I don't know. So anyways, that happens, right? And then he like hops off of me, right? And he cleans, you know, whatever, and I'm still under the sheets. Like, cause I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed because, bro, like, there's like so much blood. And I'm just like, bro, I'm embarrassed. And he like, you know, he cleans or whatever, and he starts putting, you know, his, you know, pants on. And I was just like laying there in the bed, shook as fuck, because I was like, did this really happen? Like, and then he was like, you ready to go? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. So at this point, I'm still under the sheets, and he's looking at me. He's like, well, get up. And I'm just like, well, can you turn around, sir? I have to put back, you know, my clothes you clearly took off. And so he goes to the restroom, right? And I put back my pants on. And what's it called? And he doesn't say anything. He's just like, he's like, okay, you know, like, let's go. What the fuck just happened? You know? And so, you know, we get in the car or whatever, and he was like, you weren't a virgin. And I was like, yes, I was. And then he was like, no, you weren't. And I was like, yes, I was. And then he was like, basically he was just saying, like, he was implying like, no, I wasn't. And I was like, bro, yes, I was. You know, how are you going to tell me? But he was like, but where can I leave you? Like, where can I drop you off? And I was like, you could drop me off at my house. And he was like, no, I have to be somewhere. Where can I drop you off? I was like, you could drop me off at a park where I was supposed to be at in the first place. Not Bombing Lake, but the park next to my house. He was like, all right, when can I see you again? I don't know. So I get off. And then I start walking, right? And I remember this day, I think I had a white shirt with some basketball shorts on. Me today could never. But yeah, that's just how we used to dress back then. So he was like, you know, when can I see you again? And I was like, I don't know. So I just hop off the truck, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, you always getting yourself into shit you shouldn't be in. Miss Ma'am, what? Why do you do that? My V card to a guy I did not know. And clearly, like, obviously I met up with this guy many more times after, because it was just like, so like, oh, I'm gonna go get you, like, I don't care what you say, I'm gonna go get you. There's many more story times. This guy was not 19. Turns out this guy actually had a son and a wife, so that should kind of give you like, and his son was like half, because I was 16, so, and his son was like, what, 9, 7, like half the age of me. And so it should kind of give y'all an idea how old this guy was. Yeah, I have so many story times with this guy. And if y'all want more story times on how I found out he had a wife, let me know. I have a lot of story times with this guy. Like, obviously, since he may not have been my first love or my first kiss or my first, you know, whatever, but he sure was my first, you know. And if I could choose, I wouldn't have it that way. I would have definitely lost it to my first love, most definitely. And I feel like, as I'm saying, I wasn't ready at that time, but it happened anyways. I wasn't ready, but in my head, I was like, bro, my first love is gonna be the one. My first love is, you know, we may not be seeing eye to eye right now, but he's gonna come back. And bro, in my head, I pictured my first time like being so magical, with my first love, you know, us, you know, in a telly, but bro, us in a telly, and, you know, just, I don't know, like, being magical, you know, unicorns flying around, you know, stars in the fucking ceiling, rainbows everywhere. But that's not how my first time went. It was totally opposite. It was totally, yeah, not what I recommend. So the moral of the story is stop hanging out with people that you do not know online. So it's kind of like, I wouldn't say I was pressured to do something because I didn't clearly say no, but I didn't clearly say yes. So this happened a long time ago. So does it really matter? That's the end of the story time on how I lost my virginity to a guy I didn't want to lose it to, but I lost it too. But I don't know. I feel like, does that play in like like, bro, like when you're on your monthly, does it still count as you lost it or it doesn't? Because I remember like after you know, when my cycle ended and he wanted to meet up again, I did it and it was like type of moment, as in like, I don't know how to explain that. Anyways, but yeah, that's the story time. I hope y'all liked it, and let me know if you want more. Like, guys, as I'm saying, like, I have a lot of more story times about this person, about my ex-friend, how she ratted me out, about toxic, and about Psycho. Y'all, I have so many story times with Psycho due to us being together for kind of like because we were together for what, like a year or two. Yeah, so there a lot of things happened with him. I feel like Psycho was my craziest relationship. And then, you know, maybe my daddy, the fuck, my baby daddy was another. It was mentally like draining, you know. But then with what's it called, with Psycho, it was mentally, physically. Y'all, I have so many story times. Just let me know.